Can a 9-year-old today get married? The answer is no. And so Islam doesn't give us an age for marriage. So the 9-year-old of that day is not the 9-year-old of today. When people use this against Islam today, it's really a desperate, pathetic attempt. We have a question here that says, why did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam consummate his marriage with Aisha radiallahu anha while she was so young? Is child marriage permissible today? 50 years ago, if an 18-year-old got married, it was like the right time to get married. Raise your hand if you think an 18-year-old is ready for marriage today. Raise your hand if you think an 18-year-old is ready for marriage. Oof. Oof. Sorry, all you 18-year-old hopefuls out there. Not much support from your parents. What about 21? What do you guys think about 21? Raise your hands if you think 21, they're ready at 21. Get a few hands. What about 25? Okay, a lot more hands, 25. What about 30? Is 30 too late? It's not too late. Guess what's going to happen 50 years from now, probably? If you were to make a projection about the age of marriage, will it get delayed further or would it get decreased? What do you think? It would get, what? Delayed. Why though? Why though? Because life is different now, right? If we go back 1,000 years, not 50 years ago where 18 years old was considered, hey, it's the right time to get married. You go back 1,000 years. Was there elementary school? Was there middle school? Was there high school? Was there a BA degree, master's degree, PhD? None of that existed. So life was different. How was the life expectancy over 1,000 years ago? Was it lower or higher than today? What do you think? Lower. So to use today's standards and conditions and to make a judgment on what happened 1,000 years ago with different standards and conditions, that's a false equivalency. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, إِذَا بَلَغَتِ الْجَارِيَةُ تِسْعَ سِنِينَ فَهِيَ مَرْأَةٌ. That when a girl reaches the age of 9, she becomes a woman. This is 1,400 years ago. A 9-year-old was considered to be a woman, not considered to be like a child. So the question is, why is this issue of marriage of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Aisha an issue today? It was never an issue 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 years ago. Actually, it was not abnormal back then for women to get married at the age of 12. It was not abnormal at all. Why is it an issue today? Why didn't any of the enemies of Islam throughout history raise an objection? Why didn't Abu Jahl raise an objection? Why didn't any of the scholars of the Byzantine Empire raise an objection? Why didn't any of the Crusaders raise an objection throughout history? No one ever until recently, because we're applying presentism, which is that logical fallacy of taking today's conditions and applying it back then. And so Islam doesn't give us an age for marriage, because Islam is for all times and places. What Islam does, though, it gives us qualitative, not quantitative, qualitative metrics. That when a woman is physically ready, spiritually ready, emotionally ready, she can get married, provided there's no harm. So the 9-year-old of that day is not the 9-year-old of today. So the answer to the question is, can a 9-year-old today get married? The answer is no, because she's not considered to be ready to be a wife, to be a mother, etc. As back then, with life expectancy being what it was, probably 40 years, when a woman had reached a certain age, how much more time are you going to live? And back then, with the tribal system, you didn't have the weapons that we have today. You basically had to depend on your numbers. If your tribe was larger in numbers, you would be the dominant and you would be more likely to survive in society. So it was a survival issue to multiply the population. And that happened by having marriages done. And Aisha radiallahu anha, to show you that that was the custom of the time, Aisha radiallahu anha, she was actually engaged to Jubayr bin Mut'im before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then Islam came, and then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu went to the father of Jubayr and said, are we still in agreement that you're going to marry your son to her? And knowing that I am now a Muslim, he says, I'm not having any of this Islam stuff. And he broke the engagement. So it shows you that's what the system and the readiness was for marriage at that time, right? So when people use this against Islam today, it's really a desperate, pathetic attempt to try to disparage Islam because there's nothing else that they have that they can show about Islam. So they're going to use these arguments which are filled with logical inconsistencies and fallacies.